Hey, it's me, Punto, and today we're going to be talking about the current state of SCP Secret Laboratory. Now, I have quite the history with this game. I've seen everything it has to offer. Every version, everything. We'll be looking at the major issues with the game right now, and how to fix them. Because you see, the current state is, not the greatest, to say the least. I'll be covering many different topics, so the timestamps will be below in the description. Without further ado, let's get started. Now, did I scare you? I hope I did. You see, that brings me to my point of the horror of this game. You see, SCP is a scary franchise. It's an absolutely terrifying universe to be in. And that's what makes it so great. It's so interesting with it, too, with its horror elements. And this game has none of that, honestly. Like, it used to have such a great atmosphere. Like, it felt very eerie, liminal. I guess that's the correct word I'm looking for. It just felt very, like, claustrophobic, and, like, it was just overall darker and more ominous. But if you were to take a look at the previous heavy containment, which I would always walk around fearfully, like, you were always worried when you were walking around heavy containment. It was the place of death. It was just overall very dreadful, and you were always trying to get out as fast as you could, because that's typically where all the SCPs would be hanging out. So, yeah, just take a look at that, how it looks, how it feels to play, and everything. And then just take a look at the modern one. The lighting is just not the same vibe, it's just bad. Yeah, they had a whole update switching the engine, getting a better fucking lighting system in place, and I was pumped for that update. Like, I saw the first couple example images of what it would look like, and it looked great. But then, after playing it, it hit me. Now, don't get me wrong, it looks good, but it just feels very homely. It feels very welcoming, and it has a combative perspective in mind. They were thinking about the gunplay, not the horror. So there's just no scary bits, and there's no jump scare sounds and no chase themes. It just doesn't feel very threatening, which was a huge part of the horror element. So really, it's just a filler place, really. You just go there to go hunting, or to just get out. And the same problems apply to light containment and entrance zone. Like, light containment doesn't really have much personality to it anymore. Like, it just does not share the same vibe anymore, and it doesn't feel as special as it was. Entrance zone just looks like SCP new clips on higher graphics. Like, why is it just oversaturated blue tint applied to this fucking place? Why? It's not better. Overall, I do think there is hope for this if you just make the atmosphere a bit darker, tone down some of the lighting, do some fine-tuning to all the different places, just make the overall place look a lot more scary and have more of an SCP feel to the game, then it'll just be better. Like, take inspiration from the old lighting system and, like, the old stuff. Just take a look at some of this. It's just better. Like, take inspiration from what you've previously done, from what Hubert did all that time ago, and then just use that as a starting point to help guide you to a better looking game. And on that note, I'm going to transition over to the next chapter of this video, where we'll be discussing the mechanics and just overall some miscellaneous things. Now, I'll only be covering arguably the most important parts of this specific section. So, balancing. What are the main complaints for this? Well, there's stalling, whether it's round stalling or just being soft-locked. There's just the balance between different classes, spawn wave rates. Basically, people don't like anything that they can come up with a reason not to like. So I'm going to start with stalling first. You see, stalling is just hiding out in a place where someone's most likely not going to find you. Whether it's a locked place where an SCP cannot reach, or just being locked in a place by someone else. For instance, Candy Room. People go in there, people get locked in there, and sometimes they just get left there for the entire round. And that's a problem. We don't want that. And Northwood have already come up with some solutions. For instance, the skeleton was able to open doors. Computer has his breach scan, so that way he can figure out where our targets are. But that's at level 4 he's allowed to do that, and if you suck at the game, you're not going to get that ability. So, you can be locked in a place by another person. For instance, you can be locked in 914, any of the armories, 096's room 106, etc. And there's also stalling as in, you know what you're doing. Like, whether it's stalling for a spawn wave of your team, or just you don't feel like dying, so you just hide out while the SCPs wait outside. You know what you're doing, and if it's an SCP and you're locked in a room, they have no way to get to you unless there's a computer. So you'll successfully stall, and that's not a good thing. Oh, and I probably should mention that people who intentionally stall nuke room all the time. I don't know how I glossed over that one. Anyways, when it comes to stalling, ways you can fix it is by giving the SCPs some way to figure out that someone is hiding somewhere. Maybe because your guys are gonna add new classes to the game, so maybe do something to that. Add a new SCP or something with an ability to like unlock a door every now and then, kind of like how Skeleton could unlock doors with keycards. But also figuring out where the stalled person is a whole other thing. Maybe you could just, like, if someone's the last person, it'll tell you, like, the general place they're in, or, I don't know, do something similar to a computer ping. I'm not sure. That's up to Northwood to decide, not me. Also, I don't know how you haven't figured this one out yet, Northwood. If you don't want people stalling a nuke, just make it so that once you're a nuke for, like, over, I don't know, a minute or two, you'll start to slowly take radiation damage. And I'm pretty sure this was a planned thing, might still be planned to be a feature once nuke has gone off on surface. Speaking of which, surface. People do not like surface zone. Honestly, I never mind this part of the game. Like, I don't know. It's just always been there. You get used to it. It's fine. But I understand the problem. Fixing up surface zone will definitely help with some complaints. I personally don't think it takes away much from the game at all. Finally, I'm going to be talking about spawn rates and stuff and the amount of people that spawn. You see, people have a problem with how quick things spawn and how many things spawn. Honestly, it's not really that big of a deal. Like, I think the spawning system is fine. They've changed it like 50 times. It does not need to be reworked for another time. And the amount of people that spawn is based on the server. It makes sense all in all. Maybe cut down a few people if the server size is large and there's like 2 SCPs. Honestly, just get good. That's not really a major issue that should be worried about. Alright, now I'm going to be moving away from the balancing portion of the video because honestly, I don't think the balancing in this game is all that bad, like all in all. Sure, there's a couple of things you need to change, especially the spawn camping stuff I did earlier. Not spawn camping, sorry. Fuck, what's the word? Camping. Yeah, round stalling and camping, all that stuff. That's what I meant to say. Anyways, we're gonna move away from that and get to the next section of the video. SCP-SL's community. Where do I even begin? Okay, well, first of all, it takes 0 effort to find a racist, homophobic, toxic, transphobic, sexist, just generally annoying person on this game. I swear, the people that play this game are a different breed. You'll find a wide variety of people when you're playing this, from just nice, kind individuals to straight up neo-Nazis. So, what the hell? the problem is just so overwhelmingly bad. You'll join a server and there will be people shouting slurs, using inappropriate soundboards. This game is literally hell. And what's most unfortunate about that is that kids play this game. Children have little self-moderation and very open and innocent minds. I've seen 4th graders play this shit. This game is not okay to be played at such a young age. People online are just gonna tell you to kill yourself, joke about serious topics, and try to hurt your feelings overall. That's just all over the internet, not specifically dedicated to SCP Secret Lab. And Northwood themselves kind of have their own controversies going on and their own problems with their mods and staff and all that, but I'm not going to get into that. But do know that it exists. These problems mainly started during the pandemic, 2020. See, so many people were at home during this time, and because of that, people started to go more into the gaming industry, and more people are introduced to this game. And competitive games were all the rage then. So naturally, during this time, toxic and competitive people, just absolutely full of themselves, just started to show up in the game. And Northwood has been focusing more on the competitive aspects of this game, which is only encouraging the problem. And once again, I'm going to talk about their lighting. Like, fix it to be taken more seriously, because this game is not taken very seriously anymore. And it's mainly just a competitive game. I'd like to say that shit especially took a turn at 12.0 Mimicry. I bought the beta for this, and I enjoyed it for a bit, but shortly after it became public, see, I just took another look at it from a new angle and saw that things were going to take a bad turn. See, 12.0 had their own sort of lighting thing. The lighting was different in 12.0. 11.0 lighting was different. 12.0 lighting was not the same as 11.0. And then you had 13.0, which was its own entirely lighting update, basically. The audio horror aspect of 939 was basically non-existent because of how the community was. Like, no one's gonna be using that feature very well in the intended manner. It's just gonna be stupid voice lines spammed all the time. Oh, and mind you, about 939, what the fuck, Northwood? You made it canonically female, modeled an ass onto it, and gave it the ability to go on all fours. In a game primarily played by lonely, degenerate losers online. This is not a mistake. Why? What were you thinking? Some people think 11.0 is when everything went wrong. And yeah, well, the new weapon system isn't as fun in the old one, in my opinion. And people were pissed about the new 173 model. It wasn't really a big deal, and it makes sense why they did all that. And all in all, I get it. Northwood has been trying to modernize their games to be more attractive to more audiences and stuff, but it's just, they need to make big decisions and real huge changes soon. And I know they don't want to turn their back on progress, but their game is taking a serious toll. And back to the audience problem for people that play this game and how there are kids that playing this. I have this crazy idea on how to fix it. Honestly, insane. Took so long to think of. Just bear with me here. Get this. An age limit. Yep, it's as simple as that. You know how Steam puts an age limit on your games? Just please do that, Northwood. It's not that hard. Now, I believe that the age limit here should be 14, partially because I just turned 14 a lot long ago, but that's not my point. You see, the ages 11, 12, and 13 are most commonly targeted by predators, and also the most vulnerable. Making 18 plus would kill their server since most of their audience is in the 14 to 17 range. But speaking of predators... Now, this topic is partially why I put a disclaimer at the start of the video. And some people might not want to hear about this, so just skip to the next section if you don't want to. I've already explained the age limit situation, how you should put that in there. But I'm going to address this anyway. Northwood has addressed this, in fact, in their most recent post, which can be found as soon as you start the game up. So, I'm going to read through that. Well, read through the most important parts of it. And I will put my input on it also. So here's their statement on this. Titled, "The Internet is not a safe place." Very true, very true. Now, this article is actually written by the big man himself, Hubert, the man who started it all. So, I'm gonna go through this real quick. It's basically addressing a certain SL YouTuber who was partnered directly with Northwood, who was a predator. I should probably address the screenshot. So for the few times I did see Baco, in-game and out-of-game, more specifically, the YouTube comment section, and one instance inside of Discord there, whenever he would see me, he would just yell my name really loudly, which is essentially what you just saw right there, when he yelled my name in all caps. Another thing I'd like to say is that, summer of last year, he went on a trip to the Netherlands, and, or Holland, however you know it as. And I was also there at the same exact time on a trip to see some family. He said this in a YouTube post, which is now deleted, and I wrote a comment saying like, "Oh yeah, I've been there many times, and I'm currently there, you're gonna love it here, it's a very nice place." And he responded with, "Yay bin and cutie patooey." You don't need to understand the language of Dutch to understand what that means. It translates directly to "you're a cutie pie." And, I didn't think anything of it, of course, because that's just how some people talk to their audience in this modern day and age, and he never tried anything, I know better, and nothing ever came of it, but, you know, I'm assuming that is just how he spoke to his audience, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that one thing, and nothing else. Purely because everything he has been said to do has been confirmed, and he has done, so this guy's guilty as shit. And a innocent person would not delete their accounts online. Well, that was quite the detour, but now let's get to this post. I'm gonna go through the things that he mentions. The internet is not a safe place for children, as it can be exploited by p***els through tactics like child and predators can use their position to appear as trustworthy figures. That last line I just read is almost directly pointed towards Baco, because he was directly partnered with SCP. And then he goes on to speak about how you can protect other people and yourself, and how they heavily rely on your reports. Now, I already said how I had talked to Baco before, and I had no idea he was a so it really goes to show you can't trust anyone online, and you really need to be careful. What's also interesting is he says, "We heavily rely on your reports." And that makes sense. They don't have eyes everywhere, but they can improve their moderation, perhaps starting to use AI stuff in some way, I'm not quite sure, but just better mod team. And okay, you think I would know this because I'm an admin on a server, but I think a system where mods are able to report a user for a permanent ban, but like not immediately like permanent VAC ban, just like a ban as in they send a request to permanently ban a user. That would be a good idea. Okay, moving on. He speaks about how you can contact human resources, and how they have people working for them to make sure that everything is okay. And if something you don't feel is treated correctly, you can even contact Hubert himself, he says. And at the very end, he's talking about spreading awareness of this topic, which I'm doing right now, so yay me. And that's about all this says. So, now that I've broken this down and I've covered all the topics I'd like to quickly say that if you have any questions, please put them in the comments, and I could also give more of a detailed opinion on some of these topics that have been said. If you'd like to know more about the whole Baco situation, there are plenty of videos on it. Just look up like Baco SCPSL allegations or something, and just take a look on that. And with that, I'd like to say again, just like I put at the start of the video, that a lot of this is my opinion, and I hope this video can provide as constructive criticism for Northwood. And if you're someone at Northwood watching this, please send this video to somebody that's higher up and can do something about this. You see, all in all, I think the old versions were just better. You might argue that I'm nostalgic, or it's just the community, which is not, but I just really miss the days where I'd see a new Frisky video pop up. Like, those were the good times. And like Mega Patch 1 to Mega Patch 2 was considered the golden era of this game. Currently, it's on the downfall, but I see a bright future for this. If they just listen to what the people want and take some inspiration from what I've said, this game could really start to change and go a better direction. With that, before I end, I'd like to say I'm working on quite the project. I've already leaked it in the Discord, so join that and check the teasers and scheduling channel if you want to see it, what the video is going to be about. But for now, I'm just going to tease it right there in a blurred image, and you don't get to know what it is unless you join. That's right, I'm holding it hostage. And I'm sure you figured this out, but I don't really use a script for my videos. I'll write down a few notes to help me figure out what I want to say, and that might shock you if you've seen some of my other content. And real quick, I'd like to quickly say that if you'd like to support me, I have some more SL gameplay and some Little Nightmares challenge stuff on my channel, and more SCP content, you know. Just, if you're new around here, please be sure to check that out, support me, subscribe if you enjoy, and with that, I'll see you next time, hopefully. Bye-bye!